Aponio docteur Mukweke, Zamba ponio, Mukweke, Nanzo topena mutema na yemo bimba, Zamba ponio, Aponio moke Mukweke, Zamba ponio, docteur Mukweke, Nanzo topena mutema na yemo bimba, Zamba ponio. Tamana katia bibe, ninge kolo apona kiba kosori, Zamba ponio. Tamana katia bibe, ninge kolo apona kiba kosori, Zamba ponio. Aponio docteur Mukweke, Zamba ponio, docteur Mukweke, nanzo topena mutema na yo mobimba, Zamba ponio. Docteur Mukweke, Zamba ponio, docteur Mukweke, nanzo topena mutema na yo mobimba, Zamba ponio. Tack så mycket. Merci beaucoup. biso kombo ya Mukweke koma miye namoni na biso prix Nobel de la paix ozwi yango ngana lelisolo wanelelise wanelelise Iko mwana Yesu, iko mwana Yesu, iko mwana Yesu, iko mwana Yesu. Bo wanele soe. Vi tackar så mycket för att vi fick ära att få inleda den här kvällen då vi hyllar en speciell människa. En speciell människa som nu har fått Nobelpris efter en lång kamp att bli kvinnornas röst i östra Kongo.
Det är din telefon.
Ja, det gör det. Men jag svarar inte nu. Efter en lång kamp att försöka ge den röstlösa kvinnan en röst. Och där utsatt sig själv för stora risker för sitt eget liv. Men han fortsatte. Han backade inte. Dag efter dag. Den kampen har fortsatt. Det är våra bror från Kongo. Det är våra pappa som heter Denis Mukweke. Vill ni hylla honom med en stor applåd här? Ja. Du får gärna stå upp. Han förtjänar all ära. Och idag kan vi konstatera att hans kamp har nått till ljuset. Han har fått ge den kvinna, det barnet, en plats i ljuset där vi alla numera vet vad som pågår i östra Kongo. Och den kampen är connectad till andra länder där kvinnans kropp används som ett objekt. Så nu när han har fått Nobelpris, vi gläds att den kampen har kommit till ljuset. Det innebär att vi ska sätta igång igen och arbeta så att sexuellt våld blir ett blått minne. Stämmer ni med i den kampen? Tack ska ni ha. Varsågod, sitt ner.
Fantastiskt att se alla här. You are so welcome, everybody. And I don't know if you know the association, the Friends of the Pansy Hospital. It's a pretty new one. And I happen to be the chairman of that. And my name is Peter Rothschild. It started about a year ago, or a little bit more than a year ago. And I was then informed about the horrendous situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo. I was also informed about the fantastic work done by Dr. Denis Mukweke. I was also informed about what the Swedish government did, cutting down the development aid to this very hospital and to help women that has been subject to sexual violence. I must say I got very upset. And with a few friends of mine, we decided to start this association. And, you know, I'll tell you what happened once when we were sitting. We had decided with Dr. Mukwege that he should come here the 3rd of December. Today is not the 3rd of December, as you have noticed. And we were sitting planning that, and suddenly my telephone went off and there was a message, and I read, "Have you heard the news?" And the news was that Dr. Denis Mukwege had been given, or was given the Nobel Peace Prize. And of course, that was... That was exactly what we did as well. We applauded, we jumped, and we said, this is it. Let's do something really good. And that's why we're here tonight. The objective of our association is actually twofold. We want to collect money. We want to collect 3.5 million Swedish crowns a year, which is the shortfall after the Swedish government and also other European government has cut down the help to the Pansy Hospital. So 3.5 million per year we want to collect. We also want to make people aware of the conflict going on in Congo for about 20 years and what is happening there. So this is actually why we're here tonight. We're here to learn about it. We're here to learn directly from Dr. Denis Mukwege what's happening. We're also here to listen to Maria Bard, who is working with, and I have written down the English translation of PMU, which is a long one, sorry. the Relief and Development Wing of the Pentecostal Mission. And Maria is their policy officer working with focusing on political situation, conflicts, minerals in DRC, and also sexual violence in conflicts. So we're going to hear more from her in a minute. I would also like to say that we work together with PMU. PMU has something very attractive for us, namely a 19 number, which is in Sweden is very good because that vouches for a very serious organization with low administrative costs. So we work through them. So the 90 number you see on the forms that I hope you have been given and that you're going to sign during the evening, and that you're going to fill in any amount that you feel is okay for you. All contributions are welcome. You can also become a member. And why become a member? Well, you're then supporting our objectives. And what you will then have is direct access to information about what's happening in Congo at the hospital, and you will also be invited to our future events. And as you have seen, they can also be some fun and nice people, so I hope you will also enroll as a member. We will also, in the program, after Dr. Mukweke is interviewed by Malou von Sieverts, we will have the possibility also to ask questions about conflict minerals. It will be Theo Jekyll and Frida Lundström. She will answer questions about peacemaking in difficult areas. So we have a pretty full program, and I hope that you have a lot of questions and interest. And as you know, the purpose of this evening is very clear. We want to enroll you as members. We want also you to contribute to helping Dr. Mukweke to run the Pansy Hospital in a normal way. I think that's what I wanted to say now. I'll just check if it's something more that I need to say. No, I think that is it for the time being. And again, very welcome. And then Maria, I already introduced you. Please take this seat here and the microphone
and speak.
Speak.
Yes. Thank you so much. This is a big crowd. It's really encouraging to see so many people coming here for such an extremely important issue. I'm going to talk about Pansy Hospital and about the man of the hour, our Dr. Denis Mukweke. Pansy Hospital, it is a place, a totally, definitely unique place. It is a place of peace and a place of hope. The first time I came there, I thought it would be a terrible place due to all the stories I'd heard. But instead, I found a place of new beginnings, a place of hope, a place of dreams, and a place of people actually reimagining their lives. I came to the hospital to see also the model that they work with, the unique holistic care model, which not only gives the women medical care, but also helps them to process psychologically what they've been through. They get assistance to take their offenders in front of court. They also get help in reinventing their lives. They learn how to read and write if they don't know it already, and they learn new ways of finding means to attract money and so on. And this place is unique for very many of the people in Pansy, in Congo, and for many, many women. It's a beacon of hope. I've met so many women whose lives have been changed by the work at Pansy. And so many women who've said, tell my story so that my story is heard. So that I'm not dying or disappearing in silence. And they call Dr. Mukweke Papa. Papa Mukweke, you're my father. He is the person they all look to and look to for hope. And I've seen him work, and I've seen the way he interacts with women. We had a meeting at one point. We had meetings every morning, actually, when I used to work at the hospital. And in the middle of the meeting, they knocked on the door because there was a case that one of the nurses was worried about. And he interrupted the meeting immediately, and we rushed down to see this woman. She had stopped eating because she had the problems, the physical conditions that she had attracted. She had a difficult fistula, which meant she couldn't contain any of her, I don't know this word, but she couldn't contain anything. So everything just leaked out. And she had stopped eating then due to that. But Dr. Mukweke came down to, he went down and talked to her and he said, "My dear, why don't you eat? I mean, if my wife cooks you some dinner, will you please eat that food? Will you please, if I do this for you, do you think it will work?" Like, very, very personal in the way he would interact with these women. And he also demands a lot of himself. He's a person who works, constantly, I would say, but he also demands a lot of us who's around him, who works around him. I remember one point as well, where there had been a big festivity. We had been marching in the city with all the women to celebrate the International Women's Day. And then there was a party at the hospital just after, and I had escaped because I thought I had to go home and rest a bit. We do get tired, people working in this kind of field as well. So on the Monday, we had the Monday meeting, and we had, we talked about everything, but I could tell he was not really happy with me. And at the end he said, "So Maria, why were you not at the party at the hospital on Saturday?" And I tried to think of a good excuse, which is difficult with a good doctor. And yes, I had to be whatever. And he said, "No, that's not good enough. That is not good enough. Because you need to understand that it is when we're sitting with the women, when we're eating together, when we're dancing, when we're hugging, that we're actually giving them their dignity back. Because what this violence does is to dehumanize them. They don't even think that they're human anymore, or has human values. So it was when we share our humanity with them, that's when they get a new start. And that is also why this prize is so amazing that he got. It's so amazing. Because he don't only, the way I understand Dr. Mukweke, he doesn't only see himself as a spokesperson for these women, but he sees himself as a man who creates a platform for their voices to be heard. Because he says that if their voices are not heard, this prize doesn't mean anything. His first speech was to the women. His first speech was to the women, and he said, if your voices are not heard, this prize doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And we know that from the Me Too movement, we have seen that in Sweden, that when you open up these doors, when you let women speak out and say what they mean, what they've experienced, it's like opening an avalanche. It's like opening a door, and you take back the power of your life. You take back your future again and say, it's my story, it's my experience, this is my life. And I think that is some of the most, because people keep on asking me, what is the most unique thing about Dr. Mukweke? And I think that is it. That he sees the people he works with. He knows exactly why he does what he does. And he does not compromise at all. Because he knows that everyone has the same kind of values. And it has to be heard. And people have to get the opportunity to speak themselves about the situation. So I am so delighted for your sake that you get the opportunity tonight to listen to this amazing Dr. Denis Mukweke. I feel so proud to be part of his work, and I am sure that when you leave this room, you are going to be devoted supporters to Pansy, the Friends of Pansy. Is that true? Yes. Amen.
Thank you, Maria. And now, how do they say? I have the immense, or I have the honor, the great honor to introduce to you this year's Nobel Prize winner, laureate, Dr. Denis Mukweke, and Malou Sieverts, please.
warmth. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
This was planned before the prize was announced.
Exactly.
And then when we heard about the prize, it was fantastic.
We postponed it many times, but it was waiting for this prize, so we can get possibility to talk about it.
But it's always interesting to hear, how did you reach the news about the prize that you were given this Nobel Peace Prize?
Thank you.
Do you remember what happened? Was it in the middle of the night, or when was it?
First of all, I want really to thank all of you to be here tonight. It's really so touching for me to be with you. Friends of Pansy, I know that you are doing a lot, and maybe some, it's the first time maybe, but I want just to thank you to be here. Your presence here means a lot, not only for me, but also for victims. Maria, I follow a speech, and really, it's very important for many victims. It's not only in Congo, but I travel, and I can see that when you give them to feel that I'm still human, even if someone tried to dehumanize me, it's really a strong support. And it's what you are doing. So I want to thank you a lot to be here to support victims of sexual violence, and in Congo and everywhere in the world. We have this responsibility all. So when it happened...
Yes, when it happened first.
Yeah. I'm a surgeon, and it was a Friday at around 11. Really, I was not thinking about it. I don't know why, but I was so busy. And I heard that people were just making many noise outside, like I hear here. This is a Congolese way to celebrate something. So, but it was, I have the impression that all the hospital was really, and I asked myself, what happened? What is this? And the anesthetist came to me, and he hugged me, and he told me, you know what happened? They come just to announce that you win the Nobel Prize. And I could not stop women, all the staff. They just brought me in my office, and they start to sing and dance. So it was a special day for all of them.
And cry, probably.
Exactly. And what just it gave me, I just feel that for all these women, I don't even, if they understood what was the meaning of the Nobel Prize, but for them, it was, we are recognized. And working in the country where sexual victim is denied by the government, I think that this was very, this recognition.
I listened to your speech, your Nobel speech, and I was touched, as so many others. Could you please tell us about the first time when you really understood what it all meant, when you met this woman, the first woman you met? That was really...
Yeah, I think that it was really a shock for me, because I was trained to treat normal patient, if there is normal patient, I don't know. But I think that to give birth is a normal thing. And it's what I was trained for. But when it was in 1999, I just, someone called me and say, we have a patient. She come just to be shooted on her genital, and have many damage. And I just think that, okay, maybe it must be someone who lose his mind, and this can maybe happen maybe he takes some drugs and so. And yes, it was terrible to see. And I was wondering myself how you can do things like that on another human.
When did you understand that this was not the first woman? She was not the only one. There were so many more that came to you and looked for help.
No, just 3 months after, I started to ask myself a question. Because women coming to the hospital after to be raped, and not only raped, but also go through torture. Because this torture, some it was to shoot on the genital, other it was to introduce many kind of objects in the genital to burn. There, really, I start to understand that this is not a normal thing. I was in the region for 15 years, so it was clear for me the pathology of the region. And there I start to talk about sexual violence with rape with extreme violence. And this is really a new pathology in my region.
And then you are doing surgery on to help these women. But it's not the only thing, as we heard from Maria. You have to help them back to normal life. You have a holistic way of looking at these women.
Exactly. When we start, we will just treating them medically to make surgery or to treat infections. But slowly we understood that it was not enough. Because when they are raped in this way, the goal is to destroy them not only physically, but also to destroy their mind. And we just discovered that after to treat them physically, most of them were just coming back again and again with different symptoms. And it shows that we are not efficient in just treating them physically. So we decide to look for a psychologist so he can support them psychologically. And this was maybe the second pillar that we have in our program. But also, after a few years, we discovered that they can be strong physically, strong mentally, but it's still that the family don't want them to come back.
Why?
Yeah. You know, it's just to take them that most of them were excluded for their family just because they were raped. And the rape sometimes was happening publicly, or it could be a gang rape. And the family, I can say that is a way for the family to excuse themselves, to say, so she was raped. She don't belong at all to the family. But this also is a wrong way to see things, because there you have the impression that the body of women belong to the family, to the owner of the family. So when they are raped, most of the time they are rejected by the family and the community. And at this stage, for us, it was very necessary not only to treat them physically, and psychologically, but to support them socially so they can reintegrate the community again. And to do it, you need to empower them economically. So this is a third pillar.
And a lot of them have stayed at the hospital and they're working there, isn't that so?
We have some of them who are working at the hospital, but we have, for example, one, she's anesthetic, and she's working as a nurse, but she was really raped. But she decided after that she wanted to support other women. And she did all her courses of anesthesia, and now she's working at the hospital.
When did you discover that this was the sexual abuse was a weapon in the war?
Yeah. Receiving patients at Panzi, one of the things that to rape is already terrible things, because the rape a woman is to deny her humanity. and to rape and to try to destroy also the genital. This is not human. And I can say that most of the time people are making confusion between rape and sex. It's not, these two things are not the same. Rape is destroying individual, but also destroy the family, the society. And in the case of Congo, I have the impression that rape is just destroying all the nations because it's destroying the social fabric. It's destroying this capacity of people to live together. A woman, when she's raped by men, many men, without any protection, to be rejected after to be raped, how can she believe to the society in she's living if she's not protected by the society? And I think that rape is not really, is a way to create in the society that all the links between people to be completely destroyed. And when people don't have cohesion, how they can organize themselves? They don't believe each to other. And I think that this is a way really not only to destroy the individual, but is to destroy all the community. It's also a weapon of war because in raping women, 10 men to rape 1 woman, it's sure that after she will be contaminated by sexual disease. And if she's contaminated, most of the time they are coming to the hospital very late with chlamydia or gonorrhea and things like that. So the genital is destroyed inside. So they can't really get children easy. And if they are very young, it means that it will be very difficult for some of them to get children after.
And this is the goal of why they are doing this systematic.
Because when it happens, again, women are blamed to don't get children. They are excluded because they can't get children. In Africa, children is really the link between families, and it's terrible for women.
And
they didn't decide to don't get children, but when it happened, they are accused because they don't have children. But it's also to reduce the demography of the population. And you can see the women we are treating with all the wounds in the genitals. So the genital is destroyed also to avoid them to get the possibility to be really, to get this capacity to get children. So we have many fistula, but the fistula, we have 3 kinds of fistula. We have the obstetrical fistula, occurring when women are giving birth without assistance, but most of the time they are very young girls of 12 years, and they are not able to get delivery normally in the bush. So when it can't happen normally, most of the time they are destroying their bladders, the vagina, and the rectum. This is the first thing, the first kind of fistula. The second is fistula after to put things in the genital, and it is destroyed also. But you can see that all these things together is just really to destroy the capacity of getting children, and this is to reduce the population.
You have seen things that is even, I think it's impossible for us to even imagine. You've seen babies being raped.
Exactly.
That came to the hospital.
Exactly. And I can say that this was something, I was shocked. And I was wondering myself, how can I stay in the operating room and this kind of things is happening around me? The operating room was not the place. At this moment, I just feel that I have not to stay here. We need to prevent, because to just stay there saying it was not a solution. And at this moment, really, I left my operating room and I went in villages to try to make things change in the villages.
So what did you do?
Yeah, I just went to a church and I called to talk with men. Because I think that men also who have responsibility. Most of the time it's happening with men. But all men are not responsible. But the big problem is that men, when they are not rapists, and it's a majority, but their silence, in French we say, is coupable. You can't keep silence when children are raped and say, it's not my problem, I'm not rapist.
So how did they react?
It's a responsibility. Mm-hmm. And we have all responsibility to protect when humanity is mistreated. And the reaction was, okay, it's happened, and we know maybe someone who is doing it. And this man was a deputy in our provinces. Mm-hmm. So we decided to take action and we decide with other human defender that we should go to justice and try to push. We push all the doors that we could push to get him arrested. And it took 3 years before this man to be arrested. It was not easier. Because he has the parliamentary immunity. And this is terrible. How can you say that because I'm a politician, I have immunity, so I can do things like that?
But you are also, the government see you as an enemy. Is that so?
I'm not enemy. I'm just telling the truth.
I know, but they look at you.
Yeah, because I think that...
But they don't really, I mean, explain, how do they look upon you?
Yeah, it's a long history of Congo, but I think that a mistake was done when just after the war. And I can say that after the war, they should make a vetting to know who did what. But they took all the people who were in the armed groups and they put them together without any kind of investigation to know their background. But the result was to integrate violence in the army, in the administration. And today, the people who are leading the country, our luck really, as I said in my speech, to see that the mapping reports can be open and to know exactly who did what. Because you can't build the peace on lie. You can't build the peace when people don't know the truth about what happened to the member of their families, the community, and so on. And today, the one who's still doing all this violence, they're the one who are leading us. And of course, if I just say like that, many are not be happy with me. That is the reality.
Because you were almost killed at one time. Could you tell us about that? So we understand the threat.
Yes, I was invited in New York to do a speech. It was in 2011. And at this time, our Minister of Health, he came to me and he said, Dr. Mukweke, you have a choice. Tomorrow, if you do your speech, you have to decide to go back, but there you will going to lose your life. Or you decide to stay here. But your family is in Congo. So make a good decision. And the good decision for him was to cancel my speech. My family was in Congo, and it was very hard for me to take a decision on behalf of my family So I decided to cancel. I was invited by Ban Ki-moon and Margot Wallström at this moment. She was the special representative. So I called them and I just said that it's not possible for me to make the speech tomorrow. We discussed a lot, but it was my decision because I have responsibility for my family, so I have to go back. Next year, I was invited by William Hague, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the UK, and I went in New York and I did my speech. But when I come back, people were waiting me at my place. And this was terrible because it happened in front of my daughters. And when just I came, my daughters were taken hostage. They start to shoot on me. And I can't tell you how I escaped because this is very sad to talk about it. I lose one of my God, Joseph. He was killed this day. And
he tried to warn you?
Yeah, he tried just to push me, and he's the one who takes the bullet. And when it was, blood was everywhere. I don't know. I can't explain what happened because we could see many bullets in the wall, but I don't know how I escaped. But my friend lost his life.
But today, your home is inside of the. It's next to the hospital, isn't it?
Yeah. At this moment, really, I thought that I can't stay in Congo. For me, it was enough. So I leave the country. But when I was abroad, really, something also happened, and maybe many can ask the question, why are you still in a country where there is no respect of the life? But at this moment, women of Congo, they just make all they could do to get me back. Using writing to the president, they wrote to the Secretary General of the UN, they didn't get any answers. So at the end they said, okay, maybe it's because he don't have a ticket. And they decide each Friday to sell fruit and vegetables and come with the money at the hospital. And they did it. But when I got the first message, I said, okay, this is maybe, maybe they are in emotion. But when they go on doing it, I just feel that. But all these women don't have $2 per day for themselves. But they could give each Friday $50 for me to get a ticket and my family to come back. It was so touching. Then I asked my wife and my two daughters. They said, what can we do? We don't have a solution. So we decide to go back in Congo. And when we come back in Congo, they decide also that now we want to be together at the hospital. 25 women will spend the night around your house. And we are be sure that if someone wants to kill you, have to kill 25 women before to reach. It was wonderful. How could I?
Where do you get your strength from?
You understand that, really.
The women?
When you have a woman like that, psychologically you feel that you are protected.
But you are working so hard, and what you see is that your reward, sort of, because you see all these women that you can cure and help to a new life.
Yeah, I think that what is really very touching with all the women we are getting at the hospital. Most of them, when they come to the hospital, you have the impression that yeah, it's just to come to the hospital, but you have nothing to do. But the way that they are fighting for their life is so touching. You know, when you make an operation on a man, when you wake up, the first question is always, if the operation went well, what is the future, how it will work with me? When you operate a woman, it's different. When they wake up, how is my children? Is my children get this and this? This is something I can't understand, because I think that if I was at their place, my first question should be, how is the operation, how will be my future? But women are asking me, how is my children? And for me, this is really something. And because of this, I think that it's not a mistake country as yours. I was in Norway. I can see that in this part of the world, women have a power. And this, I'm sure that when Africa will understand that women have to be in a position of leaders, because they're thinking for the all. And this is very positive. Sometimes people can say, okay, we have many women who are doing bad things. It's normal. But when we don't fight to get equality, so women can also get the right to give their opinion, to decide, because in Congo, women are working a lot. But when it comes to the distribution, all the time it's men who are deciding. And if you ask yourself, you have just an impression, how you can ask someone to work very hard, and when it comes to distribute the benefit of the work, then you said, okay, I will decide. So, of course, the result is what we have. And I can see it in the hospital. Really, you can treat women, but you have just this impression that even when they stand up, they're not standing up only for themselves. It's for them and for the family. And that is the reason in our program you can see that women are becoming really agents of change. After to go through these terrible things, they're still fighting for the right of their children and the right of the society. So this is very special.
Maybe you can explain, what is the war about for us? Because they are really using women and sexual abuse as a weapon. What is the war about?
Yeah, as I come just to say, to use rape as a weapon of war, you have the same consequences as the classic war, because you destroy population, you destroy the fabric of the society, you create internally displaced people. So you have the same consequences. And in destroying their genital, you reduce also the demography of the population.
But they want people to leave some areas because of minerals.
So sexual violence is really a weapon, very cheap. It's just to make how we say, I start to be a little bit lavage de cerveau, yeah, brainwash. It's just to make a brainwash to young boys, and you can see that the boys who are doing this kind of things are very young, and after they send them to destroy women, and the result is that all the village are just leaving the village because they are in insecurity, leaving the village, and most of the time, who is exploiting minerals in this area? They are the armed groups. So the goal of this war in Congo is to exploit the natural resource of Congo. And this is sad because the war is not ethnic war. It's not a war between extremists of religion and things like that. But most of the time, it's armed groups who want to get a control where they can exploit mineral without paying tax. without paying anything. So, and to do it is to create chaos. It's organized chaos. The bad thing is that this chaos is known everywhere. But it's still that we are working with many rules, and I like these rules. I was fighting with Maria to try to get laws so we can avoid to get this mineral on the market. But it's still, if in our century we can say that we are not able to fight against people who are destroying our humanity with machete, if we can't stop them to do what they're doing, I'm wondering really what is the future of our humanity. And these minerals are coming in our pockets in one way or another. We have all the smartphone and mobile telephone in our pockets. So I think that today this war can be stopped for me. It's possible to stop this war and create a climate where companies can exploit this mineral in a clean way and to get all this equipment clean. But why we can just let 20 years all the people are fighting for the control of this mine and destroying women? This is really the big question that I asked last time.
Shall we open up for a few questions?
Of course.
So feel free and take the opportunity to ask a question. Ska vi se, har vi någon mikrofon? Ja.
Oh, yeah. What is this? Oh.
Microphone.
Okay. Hi. Thank you so much. We adore you and what you're doing, really.
Sure.
I just have a very simple question. How do we stop this terror?
Yeah. This is really a good question. To stop this terror, we need just to be, I can say, rational, because people are fighting to control this mineral, coltan. In coltan, you have tantal, and this tantal is really the most important metal in our electronic equipment. And since 20 years now, we can see we are in this area who is dealing with this question. And for me, the solution, now we have Frank Dodd law, we have OCD in 2021, we'll get the European rules on this question. This is good that the enterprise can really work on this with all these tools to try to get the mineral with responsibility, their chain supply who is clean. But I think the more important thing is to impose peace in this region. It's important. And I believe that it's possible. Because I come just to say, people are fighting with machete. How in the 21st century we can say that people who are fighting with machete, killing women with bayonets and things like that, we can't stop them? I think that there is really many possibilities is to stop the war. And if the war stops there, it can be more easier to get companies who are working with ethics to come on the ground, put on place implement their enterprise and get the same without killing, using children and abusing women. The world can do it. And I want just to ask you, you can do it because you are a citizen of the world. You can ask your deputy to be enough strong to say, in Congo, what is happening is enough. We have to stop it. We can't accept that people can just be killing, destroying, doing whatever they want. We are in a common humanity. With the globalization, there are things that we should not accept it. So you have responsibility. Thank you.
One more question. Do we have one more? Yeah.
You mentioned that there was a parliamentary deputy who was coupable, who was guilty of sexual violence against a child or several children, but he is not a militia. He is not. So why would he rape, do this sexual violence, perpetrate this sexual violence?
Yeah. You know, I said that what happened in Congo is really very wrong. Because if you can get the army, you can create an army with bandits. So you need to work more with the psychological treatment that really to train them to do the war. And it's the same with politicians. And I can say that with in the process we call the mixage and brassage, we put all this group army together. But each of these people have their own militia. And this deputy, the militia of this deputy, was the one who was raping. And the justice proves that he was informed about what was happening with his militia, but he didn't really stop them to do these bad things. And today we have what we can call hierarchic responsibility. That you can't say that she was raped by my troop, but I'm not responsible for it. You have to prove that you are not responsible. And there it was clear that this man was informed about what his militia was doing, and he didn't really stop it. So he was arrested for the responsibility to don't protect those children for what his militia was doing on children in the village.
So let's have one last question, because I know that you're tired. You have had so much to do, and you will still have a lot to do here.
A leading light of Sweden's solidarity with Congo was Zaida Catalan, who was murdered in Congo while investigating massacres. Do I understand right that you had a chance to meet Zaida? And I wonder if you could say what you think of Zaida Catalan and her sacrifice for Congo.
Yeah, this is a very hard question. Yeah, it's a hard question because, as I said, that we are sharing the same humanity. And she was in Congo for a good cause. She was fighting for justice and right things. But when you have leaders who think that they have the right to do everything, so there is no limit. And there, if you follow my speech, I say in a country where even expert and blue helmet can be killed, you understand that there is a problem. And we can be speculating, but we need to solve the problem. And the international community know clear what is the problem. And they have to take responsibility. I can't explain more, but I can tell you when they can do things like that on the blue helmet expert of UN, what can they do for the local population? So we have not to wait until it happens. We need to make prevention. And prevention, I want really to say it now in 1 week or 10 days, but things can happen again in Congo. all the information can show that something bad can happen after the 23rd of December. But who is doing prevention? And I don't think that we need to get more sacrifice as Catalan did. We need to be able to say, this is not acceptable. It's a crime against humanity, and you have no place in the world to hide when you did things like that. But we need to get people who are strong. You and me, we have this responsibility to say, this has to stop. In Congo, what is going on women, and what the examples that we give is not only acceptable. Thank you.
So thank you so much for giving us much more time than we really planned to. But thank you once again and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for coming, and above all, thank you for all the good work you're doing under very difficult conditions. And you know, there's a saying: a person that saves a life saves the whole world. And with you, I would say, you save a whole universe. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt, j'espère. Merci.
Thank you so much.
And one thing that we can say, which we cannot say, we didn't know what was happening. We know. We now know even better, but we knew already before, but we now know, and we can never say we didn't know.
Thank you.
So I think we should continue with what Dr. Mukweke said. How can we take action? How can we help? And I will invite two persons up on stage, Theo Jaquel or Frida Lundström. Are you here somewhere? Welcome up on stage. I think you can explain what you are doing and how we can help, because you're both involved in peace and how companies can help. So can you explain what you're doing, your background, Frida?
Yes, I'm working for the Swedish governmental agency, the Folke Bernadotte Academy, and we're working with peace, security and development. And we've been working since 2015 to support the implementation of the Swedish Development Cooperation Strategy in DRC within the area of disarmament, demobilization and reintegration, as well as women, peace and security agenda.
So, Theo, can you explain, because we were told that companies from abroad, from Sweden and elsewhere, could really help in this conflict.
Of course, yes. So my background is I'm a human rights lawyer. I now work for a law firm called Vinge, assisting companies in dealing with human rights risks. And I previously worked for an NGO called Swedwatch and worked together with PMU in the DRC. So as we heard previously, the demand for these minerals is of course created by companies that are producing smartphones, cars, jewelry, and by not demanding from these companies to produce proof that they are sourcing minerals in a responsible way, we are in a way complicit in the abuses and the problems. So Dr. Mukweke mentioned that there are regulations today that demand some transparency from companies, but I would say that it's definitely not enough. If companies today can say we do not know where we are sourcing our minerals from It's just too difficult to find the source. If that is a reality, then it's not enough. I mean, it shouldn't be enough in 2018 that you can say we don't know if we do know that these are the risks and that these are the
And
problems.
how can a consumer, for instance, if I go and buy a mobile phone, how do I know?
I think that we all can put pressure on companies to say that we want to know, that we do not accept an answer, that there is no answer, basically. That we can demand that from the companies and that we can demand that from our politicians. We have regulations, but the regulations are not enough. We need to have clear expectations and demands from companies. We need accountability from companies, and we need change.
And Frida, about the peace process.
What we do, because we're working with the DDR, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the idea is that you take the weapons from the combatants and you take the combatants out of their military structure and to return them back into society and give them economic and social support in order for them to reintegrate. And this is a process that you do in order to create the stability, and you create the security in order for development and peace building to begin. So you kind of remove them from the conflict and back in. And I think this is a very important process in order to make the economy and give them livelihood, so they have an alternative. So instead of joining the armed groups, they can find a lovely livelihood and support their family.
Peter, shall we just... is it possible to ask questions now, or should we just... Because we can meet them separately, Frida and Theo, is that so? You're going to be in 2 separate rooms to answer questions.
One room in there. Just we will have more. You will have opportunity to ask more questions because Frida and Theo will be in the room behind here, and there is also an exhibition there. We need to keep to our time limits here because it's late and it's Lucia and people are hungry. But I think what we maybe I would like to do now is the most difficult part of this session, and that is not to forget anybody and to thank everybody. Firstly, of course, you that have come here. But also, I would like to introduce our board. And we have Sofia Kax here, if you would like to come forward a bit. Peter Norlind is coming there. You have Sten Hage, you have Isabel Drevert, and where do we have Håkan Kjellman? There is Sten, and there is Håkan. A great team. We have been working together, and it's a pleasure to have such a nice and good team around me. Then we would like to thank also our special event manager, and I'm a little bit biased there because it's my own daughter, Olivia Rothschild. Done a fantastic work. Last but not least, Kvadrat, which is an IT and management consulting company, a very unique such, and they have been helping us with all of this, with the furniture, the equipment, the facilities, everything here. So it's a fantastic company to work with, I think, and I can really recommend them. Fantastic. And we also have to thank Edo, because he's the one who played the music, and he will also play a little bit more music for you when we leave here, but don't leave yet. I better check, because if I forget somebody, that's really bad. But I think I'll manage to remember everything. No. I knew. I haven't mentioned everybody. But firstly, Lotta Nilsson is the one at Kvadrat that has helped us a lot. I don't know where Lotta is, but somewhere. And then we have also been sponsored by Spendrups with the drinks. And We have also been sponsored by Mormor's Bakery. The buns and the bread comes from Mormor's Bakery. And now, just to remind you that fill in these forms. There is also a possibility, leave them to any of our volunteers here. Yeah, thank you, the volunteers, thank you. You leave the forms to them, and there's also a possibility to get one of these, what do you call them, gift cards for Christmas soon, I understand. And you just fill, you can have different amounts and you give them away. It's so difficult anyway to find gifts for everybody. We have everything ever, you know. So give a gift to the ones you love. Malu, yeah. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. She has a special gift. So.
It's my Greek sister.
So that's we coming. Somebody gets a small gift. Hey, Malu, thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
We also have special gifts here to Frida and Theo. Thank you. And now, as I said, there is an opportunity. Frida and Theo will go back there. There's also an exhibition about the conflict minerals back there. Some pictures with some explanations as well. So just a second. And there you have you can stay on. That's fine. But don't forget to leave your little forms. Okay? Okay.
Nu har ni lärt känna Denis Mukweke, dels från hans Nobeltal och dels från hans framträdande ikväll. Det finns en fantastisk film på Kunskapskanalen som en del har sett. Det är en fransk-belgisk film som heter L'homme qui répare les femmes. Den finns där med svensk text. Den är en otroligt bra bild av Mukwekes hela insats, inte bara på sjukhuset utan även hans insats som politiker och som agitator för det här. Det är en jättefin film. Man kan inte söka på Kunskapskanalen, man får gå till kunskapskanalen.se. Där kan ni hitta den. Rekommenderas verkligen.
Tack Jonas. You want to play or? Okay. Can you continue?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, we're gonna sing and play. Maybe we need to dance a little bit. You know, crying and dancing is going together in Congo. So, tusen tack.
Jag tror det skulle prata om politiska situationer, men så sa han att Stina Kamilju att prata mer om omvärldskontroll. Så det är klart, det var ju det helt enkelt. Ja, det var kämpa. Alla, det är verkligen lagarbete. Jag såg det. Jag satt och pratade med jag kan ta den där. Ska jag ta den? Ja. Han är det. Han har förmåga att vara det också. Att det är nära. Det är som en stor grupp på något sätt.
Congo. Kulela, yamawa, nanyango, bamsa, monetike, azanga, papa na mama. Munganga, belela, bonela, bisala. Papa, Mukweke. Non, 2 ans maintenant. Yanzi, Yakusi, Yanzi Tusu, Yanzi Tusu, Yakusi, Yanzi Tusu. Oh yeah yeah, oh Yesu wendi kwenda, watoto mono sisu. Yakusi, Yakusi, Yanzi Tusu, Yanzi Tusu, Yakusi, Yanzi Tusu. Oh yeah yeah, oh Yesu wendi kwenda, watoto mono sisu. Oh mukanda, oh musangenda,